Good evening and welcome to the Building Naming Subcommittee. We are at the Arnone Theater this evening and the time is 6:33 p.m. I'd like to do a roll call to establish a quorum. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yeah.
Mr. Homer?
Here.
And the chair is present. Mr. Sullivan was not able to attend this evening.
He's on the phone.
Oh, he is on the phone.
Sorry.
Oh, you are. So Mr. Sullivan, Tim Sullivan.
It is on.
He is
Here on the phone.
Oh, perfect,
Oh, look at-
perfect.
he's in
We were able
stereo.
to get that. Oh, it's loud too. Isn't that lovely? So we were able to get Mr. Sullivan. So we do have a full quorum this evening. So the first item on the agenda is naming of the Champion High School, which is located at 596 Summer Street in Brockton.
As you know, the Key Center was the old high school that housed the Champion High School and also the Frederick Douglass Academy. The Frederick Douglass Academy is a school that was closed, and the Champion High School was left. The city took the building, the Keith High School, the old high school, for their new public safety building and needed to find a building for the Champion High School, which they did, and we all know and have visited the former May Center, which is over on Summer Street, 596 Summer. Dr. Cobbs led the renovations that needed to take place all last spring and in the summer, and the Champion moved into that building, which is a beautiful building over on Summer Street, which allows the kids to have state-of-the-art technology. They also have green space, they have a greenhouse, they have a great gym, so it's just a marvelous location for Champion High School students. So I saw a gentleman that used to be a superintendent at graduation at the Adult Learning Center, and I've known him for years, and just when I worked in the school, started in the school system 30 years ago, and I had a conversation with Mr. Willie Wilson, and we both thought it was very important that we honor Mr. Jones in his service as the former, not only superintendent of schools, he spent several years as the assistant superintendent of operations. He also, and Willie will go over a lot of his background as well. He started teaching at North Junior High, served there as an assistant principal. So Willie sent the school committee a letter, and I'll have him come up and share the letter with us. And Willie Wilson, former Brockton High School teacher and still with the district at the Adult Learning Center. And Willie, you can use that one right there. So Willie sent a letter to my office, again, CCing the school committee on the school committee taking into consideration naming the building that we've moved into that houses the Champion High School after our former superintendent, Mr. Jones. Thank you, Willie, for being here.
Thank you, and I'm glad that Mr. Jones was able to attend with his entourage, and we're so glad to have him here this evening. But I'd like to first of all mention that I met Mr. Jones in 1969. I was a student at Brockton High School, the old Brockton High, and within his capacity as director of operations, he was testing seats for the then new high school. And so I was one among several students who were testing these seats, which I must say they were purchased in 1969 for the new high school, and they actually they lasted well into the 80s and 90s, you know. And this is just an example of the fastidious work that Mr. Jones has done. Whatever job or assignment he has been assigned to, it's always detailed. But in my career as an educator, as assistant principal and principal, whatever district I was in, whether it be Worcester or Shrewsbury, they all knew Mr. Jones and spoke highly of him. And he was always willing to share his expertise with other school districts and colleagues of the same ilk in other districts as well. And so I'm very pleased that I did write the letter. I don't have a copy of the letter, but I did write the letter asking the school committee to consider the renaming of the Champion Charter School. And of course, there's several names being bandied about. One is the Robert C. Jones Institute of College and Career. Another was the Robert C. Jones Institute of Learning, and we don't know exactly what the committee will decide. But he is like several things in the city of Brockton, one of our treasures, and he's very humble. He's one of those people that he just likes to get the job done. And I would like to recognize, thank you. I would like to recognize some of the people that are here this evening. We have Timothy Trask, a colleague of mine, retired professor from Massasoit and Bridgewater State University, and we have one of my star pupils in my CNA program, Gigi, who is Mr. Jones' assistant and caretaker and partner. And we have with us visiting from Chatham, Bill Hamilton, who is connected with the Hall of Fame at Tufts University, which is Bob's alma mater. So we're just pleased that he could make it. He told me today was one of his good days, and we're just happy to have him. I do want to read for the record the letter that I sent. This was dated October 22nd. Dear Mayor Sullivan, Superintendent Thomas, I am writing to request that the Champion Charter School be named to honor BHS alumni and former Superintendent Robert C. Jones. His dedication and 37 years of service to the Brockton Public Schools has had an immeasurable impact on students in the entire Brockton community. In 2020, we recognize the sesquicentennial of our school district, and it only seems appropriate that we pay homage to one of Brockton's finest. And with that letter, I also referenced an article that was in the Tufts magazine concerning Mr. Jones, and also I believe some of the administrators at Tufts sent you a digital copy as well, and it's just an honor to just forward this and have this kind of recognition.
So, am I on? So, and I hope I can read this without breaking down, because I think it's long overdue that the city honors Mr. Jones. Just a couple things from the article and what I know about him. He graduated in Tufts in 1953. He was the only black student in the graduating class. He was probably one of the only very few black students that were at Tufts at that time. He left Brockton High School, and back then there were very low expectations for black students. He was not pushed to go to college. He was told he probably would be a mechanic or a carpenter or a plumber. And he had none of that. He was going to college, and he went to Tufts, and he did not want to burden his family, so he worked several odd jobs to pay his own tuition as he went through Tufts. So, and I can imagine the stories of him being one of the only black students at Tufts and the things that he had to deal with back in the 50s. He's an inspiration, a remarkable man who, should have been honored long ago by the city of Brockton. So I'm glad that we're considering doing that, because what he's done for the Brockton Public Schools over his, was it 40 years? 37 years. He started at North Junior High School in 1960, finished as superintendent in 1997, and between then managed to help build Brockton High School. He led that charge in building the new Brockton High School. In 1993, he was selected as a superintendent to desegregate the Brockton Public Schools, where we got 90% reimbursement, and we're able to build this building, the Arnone, the Angelo, and the Plouffe, which the Plouffe was an elementary school at that time. He was able to get 90% reimbursement from the state that doesn't exist anymore. So 3 schools that are built and being used by several elementary schools. Oh, go ahead.
The Baker and the George.
Oh, they followed. That was part of it. Correct.
The whole,
Thank you. So Baker and George was part of that as well. And thank you for correcting me. He's got a better memory than I do, that's for sure. But, I mean, he's just, again, he retired in 1997, but has always has stayed connected to the Brockton Public Schools. He was the first one that called me when the parking lot was finally repaved at Brockton High School to say how great it looked and how well overdue it was. It's just, you know, I'm thrilled to be the superintendent to recommend this to the school committee, to honor such a great man who did it in such difficult times. And it's remarkable. He's a remarkable man, and we're thrilled to have him with us. And it's always nice when we can honor somebody as they're still with us, and it's just a great thing. So I can't recommend this any more highly than I can, because he is just a pioneer, and he is the first and only superintendent of color that Brockton has ever had.
So, Mr. Jones, this is an honor to finally get to meet you. I've heard all about you, and I read this wonderful article. So, like Superintendent Thomas mentioned, it's always an honor to be able to have this kind of a tribute. You know, this is your legacy in Brockton and what you've given back to Brockton. So this is a little something we can do for you. So as far as like the building naming committee, this evening we're just gonna discuss this and put a motion and start the process to get this
To the full school committee.
get it to the full school committee to get it approved for you. Any of the members have any comments, or Mrs. Sullivan?
I remember when Mr. Jones was the superintendent, because my kids were in the schools here then. So, but I didn't recognize you because, of course, many years have passed. But congratulations.
Thank
Do you remember that time, though?
oh, yes, I do.
Yep,
Labor of love for me, 37 years.
yep. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. So the article that was presented with the letter is very impressive.
Yep.
And it's, you know, you left a lot of pieces out, because I'm reading them and I'm getting choked up reading about some of the challenges you went through as a child, and then as a young adult, an adult. So maybe we can have this maybe scanned.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be nice to have it online, so those can read about you, those that are not familiar, and let them read this beautiful article that was honoring you. So,
One of the best parts is when you and your teammates drove out to LA to try out for the Olympics in 1952, and the journey out there was it's quite the story. So
Journey back was even
you
more.
bet.
You can't use your thumb anymore.
not nowadays.
Things you can't do.
No.
Yeah, no, and I
It's
don't
not.
think most people would know what the thumb would mean on the side of the road nowadays. So
No, but I would, you know, even though we're here for building naming, I mean, I'm sure we have students that would love to just listen to you. And I see Renee Hayward right behind you. Just to listen to you and just hear about your life experiences, so they can see, like, this is where we are now. This is what you went through. And I would love to be able to have something for some of our students. Have you just have a coffee hour, just sit and chat with them, and, you know, you are part of history.
have a lot to say, but
And we all want to listen. It's fascinating. Just reading some of this, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Well, we do have a couple of hours of interviews that Timothy Trask and I did with Mr. Jones that are part of the BCA collection, and so we did one session for a couple of hours, and then we did a second session, and we're planning to do a third. Because he is such a valuable community resource, so it's always good to record some of those things. Yeah.
He has that history. He's got that knowledge from years ago that we'd love to listen to some of these stories that you have. So if none of the, Mr. Tim Sullivan, any questions? Tim?
No questions.
Okay, awesome. So if we don't have any further questions, can we get a motion to, now, it is the Champion High School, so we are looking for a motion to name the building. So it would be the Champion High School located at the Robert C. Jones Building. Can we get a motion to name it the Champion High School at the Robert C. Jones Building? Mr. Homer.
Make a motion to make a naming of the Champion High School at the Robert Jones Building.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, so a motion's been made by Mr. Homer, properly seconded by Judy Sullivan. I'm going to do a roll call because Mr. Sullivan is by phone. So Tim Sullivan?
Yes.
Jared Homer?
Yes.
Judy Sullivan?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes, so that's a unanimous vote. So the second part that we need to do as far as, so now we need to put this on the December 20th school committee. So before the school committee at 5:45, we have to have a motion to approve and have this to go to a public hearing at 5:45 on December 20th. After the public hearing, it'll go to the school committee, full school committee for approval. So if I can get a motion to approve this for a public hearing at 5:45 p.m. on December 20th.
So moved.
So can I get a second?
Second.
So a motion's been properly made by Judy Sullivan and seconded by Jared Homer. Mr. Tim Sullivan?
Yes.
Jared Homer?
Yes.
Judy
Yes.
Sullivan? And Joyce Azak is a yes. So that's unanimous. So for those watching on December 20th at 5:45, we will have a public hearing. I believe our location's at the high school that evening. Well, we're back at the high school. And then once the public hearing's over, it will go to the full meeting, full committee, and we will vote on it then. Okay, but as far as you know, that item number 1 is close. Thank you, Mr. Jones. It was a pleasure to meet you in person.
thank you.
Looking forward to it. This is well deserved. And thank you. And if you're with us on the 20th, great. If not, we will keep you posted as
I'll
everything.
do everything I can to be there.
And we have a Christmas concert. We have a holiday concert that evening, so we'd love to have you at the concert.
I must say that I watched one school committee meeting about a couple of weeks ago, and I must say that the school committee has vision, and the way that they work together with the city council as well as our state representatives really brought tears to my eyes. Unfortunately, I didn't have that, but I still persevered. And even though I'm not a Brocktonian, I wasn't born here, Brocktonian has been a part of my soul. And the narrative that you have talks about my track exploits at Tufts, but more importantly, I felt that what I gave back to the community was well worth every minute. And I'm sitting here in the 3rd building that I built, not I built, but under my watch. I'm very pleased with what I see. But I must say that we have a superintendent. I did call him, but he's done more than just that parking lot. I gotta tell you, he's done a lot more than that in terms of working cooperatively with other people. And that's most important. And he's got to have a good team behind him. No leader does as well as they do unless they have good people around them. And I think it starts right here. So I'm very pleased. And I would hope that if you name the school I would prefer to have Robert C. Jones School of Learning because it encompasses a lot of things. And I tried like hell to get robotics and a lot of interesting things in the school at the beginning. And when you said the greenhouse, my heart went boom, 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 because we had one at the high school, and I don't know if it's still operational. But I haven't been to the school, but I got to tell you, I have a lot to give to that school, my library, a big 75-inch TV at some point, but I'm not ready yet.
Nope.
Thank you. Oh, gosh, thank you so much, Mr. Jones.
Thank you for even thinking of me at this late stage.
Absolutely. Like I said, well-deserved, and we're looking forward to working on this to get this accomplished.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So item number 2 is the temporary signage for 661 Center Street in Brockton. It's the building that we currently lease.
Yes. So we can put a temporary sign that it's the home of where our nurses, leader, supervisor, director of nurses, and her staff are there. Linda Cahill. We have the early intervention diagnostic team is there, and also it's our PD center. So we can put signage together with sign design and get it named until we see what happens with the building as we go forward.
Perfect.
Which we wouldn't need, we don't need a vote on that or have to approve it because we don't own the building, so it's just putting a sign to make sure people know what's there. And that's the same for Westgate Drive, which right now houses some of the virtual learning academy teachers, parent liaisons, Janice Johnson Plumer, who is our director of helping parents with their benefits and engagement for parents. She's also up there as well, so we could put a name on a sign on that building as well.
So I definitely agree with that, because right now we refer to them as Center Street and Westgate Drive. So it'd be nice to give them an actual name, especially for our marketing and things like that. So we don't need to pick a name.
Nope.
We don't have to approve anything at all.
Nope, just.
Okay.
Because
we only lease
We'll
them.
get signs. Dr. Cobbs will work with the sign company to signs made up with our logo and go from there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the Brockton Public Schools. We have different departments that are going to be there, so.
Yep.
Perfect. So that was it for item number 3. So item number 4 is other business. Do we have any other business for building naming? Mr. Sullivan, any other business?
No, nothing.
Okay, perfect. So I believe we don't have any other business. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So a motion's been properly made by Mr. Homer and seconded by Mrs. Sullivan. We're just going to do a roll call vote again because Mr. Sullivan's not present. Tim Sullivan?
Yes.
Jared Homer?
Yes.
Judy Sullivan?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes, so meeting adjourned. We're going to be starting our school committee meeting in a few minutes at 7 p.m. So we'll be back shortly. Thank you.